Hi guys, welcome back to Spaceballs. I'm ball number 1, and as you guys know, no ball is good without its second pair. So here's ball number 2.
Oh my god, why?
I kid.
The worst.
I kid. Okay.
This is Revelation Space.
Okay.
Oh, okay, so the
Okay.
intro away.
I'm starting. I'm Kaylee,
And I'm Trevor.
and today we're gonna go over chapter 2 of Revelation Space. So basically the story, the whole chapter itself goes into mainly 3 stories, 3 different people. So we're gonna go one by one, starting with Volyova.
Yes, because the story jumps around quite a bit, so we're just going to keep it nice and simple and just go each of their stories one at a time and we'll all be good.
Okay, so first off, so it starts off in the Light Hugger, which is a very long spaceship that we'll go more into. Trevor will.
It's called the Nostalgia for Infinity.
And we get introduced to Volyova.
She is bald.
That's... So we meet...
But it's just worth pointing out.
So here we meet Volyova. She has, what's it called? Short hair? Stubby hair. She has stubby hair.
Stubble hair.
Stubble hair.
It's not even hair. It's like a beard on her head.
So we follow Volyova down the Nostalgia for Infinity, and she's going down the elevator, which talks to her. But she's explaining just how large the actual spaceship is itself.
So the light hugger. Okay, so this light hugger, it is 4 kilometers long. That's pretty long. That's like a lot, like a few miles, I guess. Yeah, I could run it, but like it'd take me a while. Not to brag or anything, but it has 150 levels. It's a lot of levels. I couldn't climb that many levels. I could. I don't know.
The gym bro in you.
my athletic ability doesn't matter. It has fallen into disuse in many places, and like she talks about how there's neglected forests. There's neglected forest eye in the ship, and like they're dying because the light bulbs that gave them photosynthesis went out, and so she just flies to those chambers. No one uses them. There's like 200 levels of cryogenic storage there for people, but there's no people, so kind of useless. Why is there no people on her ship? There's room for hundreds of thousands, really. And there's rotatable sections of the ship that give it gravity, and some of it is just free floating, because it doesn't make sense to spin the entire ship. Some stuff needs to be stored in 0 gravity, so there's the conjoiner engines that she blasts past. She doesn't really know how they work. They're conjoiner designed, and she goes, no one knows what the engines are like but them. So she has no clue. There's no sleepers, and she talks about how the gunnery has some issues. So like the gunnery is controlling all the weapon systems, and the ship's on its way toward the Yellowstone. Where have we heard Yellowstone?
Chapter 1.
Wow.
And now, guys, go ahead and check out chapter 1.
No, I think they remember.
Link is in the bio.
It's in the bio. No, Calvin was talking about like that's where he came from. That's where their thingamajiggy expedition came from. Right?
Right.
Yeah. And so this brings her all the way down to the cryogenic levels where the captain is stored. What do you think of the captain? He seems like a small guy.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. He could climb all those stairs, unlike you. So the captain, as we know now, is asleep in a way. Not exactly sleeping, but kind of frozen.
He's like a popsicle.
Yeah, he's got some sort of plague that appears to have...
He has plaque.
He has this plaque that's been going around the entire ship, I guess, assuming that everyone else is asleep as well. Because she hinted to some people, so I'm assuming they were still in the ship, just like the captain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So they're all sleeping, or infected. And so, Volyova, Ilya.
All right. Sure.
V'ilia goes down to speak to the captain, and so basically what she's saying she only talks about the guy escaping, correct? There was no other reason.
Yeah, there's Nagormi. Well, she goes to check up on him to take his vitals, because the plague is kind of like the only reason it's not completely going rampant is because he's frozen. So she's like scraping off samples, testing them. But she's like, I should probably tell the captain that there's a guy on the loose in the ship, and he's maybe insane. Insane in the membrane, as they say.
Correct. And so basically, the captain talks back and says that she should attempt to find Nagormi.
Yeah.
She goes down there. Captain tells her to kill Nagormi.
Yeah.
Okay. And so now V'ilia is on a mission to find him, and she's given instructions to actually kill him.
Well, the captain's talking to her through like these implants. He's frozen, so he can't actually speak, but his brain is picking up signals, and the implants are picking up signals in the brain, and so that's how he's able to speak while this is happening. I think she says that, I don't know, I just assumed, but yeah. And then she freezes him again.
Hoping that it doesn't cause him any pain, because again, he wouldn't say anything.
He has the space plague.
Yeah.
He has space COVID.
Controversial topic.
He's in quarantine.
So now that she's on that mission to go ahead and kill Nagormi, she eventually ends up putting the captain back to sleep, heading out, and eventually does find him. And
or he finds her.
And actually, more into that character, it's been said many times that he's been having some weird dreams. Those dreams being...
Sun Stealer. Nah, just kidding. Dreams don't mean anything. I mean, I'm sure it's not going to mean anything. But he's having some dreams with this dude. His name's Sun Stealer. And he's, writing on the walls and shit. So like... I think this guy, he needs to have some melatonin while he sleeps, because he's obviously having an active imagination. So he finds Volyova, and he's like, oh my god, these implants you put in my brain to control the gunnery, they're making me have some bad night terrors, so I'm going to throw you down an elevator. So he throws her down the elevator.
She does end up getting caught. She doesn't die. Or what happened? She ended up not falling, but instead rather just flying for a bit.
Well, she's falling through the elevator.
But not falling to her death. Eventually she talked about how she realized what was going on. She's like, oh, the ship is moving so fast that she's kind of just steadied.
No, that's not what happened.
That is what happened.
No, it's not.
I swear. Because I remember it vividly.
What happened when she got thrown down the shaft is that she was going to hit the bottom, right?
Uh-huh.
And she tells her bracelet, which controls the ship, to decelerate or maybe accelerate, depends on which way the ship's flipped. But she tells the ship to accelerate by 10 Gs. So because she's falling at 1 G, but she's really not falling. There's no gravity. It's just that the ship is accelerating. And so she's just falling towards the back of the ship. And because she's free floating in space, technically, yeah. And the ship is just moving, and the bottom is moving towards her really fast. And so what she does is she turns the acceleration back tenfold for a half a second, so she flies up the elevator shaft again because the ship just went backwards, And this is okay for her because she can fly up a few hundred feet in the shaft, but Nagormi, he's in a normal hallway, and he gets smashed against the ceiling 8 times as she tries and gets this correct, and it's implied he just gets kind of mangled, chops off his head and stuff, normal stuff.
Mm-hmm. I thought she was floating. I guess she was floating after she turned on her bracelet.
She took out the implants, but she had to make it look like an accident.
Mm-hmm.
So she put it back in the fridge and said, oh no, it accidentally, the fridge turned on, he's spoiled. or something happened to him. It was not me. I did not smash him against the ceiling.
All right. Now we're gonna go over and let's see. So that was Vilia's story.
For this chapter,
and now the next story that comes after is heading back to Sylvest. Now this takes place a little bit after, just barely after almost half of his whole entire team went off and left Sylvest there still at the dig site. So in this chapter they eventually end up figuring out what was on that, what's it called?
Diablos. They dig up the obelisk.
Dig up the obelisk, and they're about to see what's on it, and they didn't find what they thought it was gonna be, like writing. They ended up finding kind of these designs, or like these, what did I say?
It was like these concentric circles.
Correct. And it shows that the people that were behind it were actually a little more, what's it called? Like, not smarter. A little more advanced than they thought that they would be.
Because it was like astronomy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, oh, how'd they know that? They're like Stone Age.
Mm-hmm.
There's a mention of 8 other dead alien species. But none of them, like, they haven't really met any aliens except for the jugglers and the shrouders, who seem not to be complex from what we've heard of them. But they don't have much time to ruminate on that, because that's when he gets overthrown, basically. They just put him under arrest and stuff. And they're like, sir, come with me. You're under arrest. I think did it say it was Girardeau? Because I'm pretty sure it was Girardeau. And he overthrows him.
Yeah, and so the people that come by and actually tell him that also told them that the entire half of the crew that went off, they ended up all dying. So, yeah. Pretty good they didn't go. He'd be pretty happy about that. The biggest "I told you so."
That guy, he's a bit of a tool, isn't he? He said he was like a jerk, and he didn't say, "Oh, I told them so." But I think it's in his character to be like, I told you so. Yeah. He's like, wow, you shouldn't have left me falling off a cliff. Dang. If only you stayed.
Mm-hmm. So basically that's mainly Sylvest's story in this chapter. Just the fact that they realized that the people they are studying were more advanced, and because they had like a concept of astronomy, it makes them question a little more why exactly they all died, knowing what they knew.
Well, and it was also like, I think Sylvest, his hypothesis of why they died, he's like, yeah, the sun killed them. And they're like, how would the Stone Age aliens kill them with the sun? Kill themselves with the sun? And he's like, well, maybe they're more advanced. And they're like, well, knowing astronomy isn't even advanced as us, and we can't kill ourselves with the sun, so, knowingly do it. So how did these aliens do it to themselves, even if they were more advanced? Because, we can't do it. How would they? Yeah, but so Sylvest, that's his theory. He's really dedicated to that they did it to themselves, but no one really believes him. But that doesn't matter, because he has more pressing issues. He's in prison.
Alright, and now the last story of this book really is Anna Curry, aka Faye Valentine from Cowboy Bebop.
That's how she's imagining him.
Her. A very cool assassin type of person. Not exactly a bounty hunter like Faye, but definitely an assassin.
She is a bounty hunter, really, and she gets paid.
Bounty hunter, like assassin.
Different.
Yeah,
you're right.
She's just an assassin.
They're both different.
A little more badass. But yeah, so she gets hired by these people, and these people who ask her to kill them. And yeah, it's confusing, but it's something that they do. It's called, Shadow play?
Yeah.
Shadow play.
Because they're like, they live for a long time, and the rich people, they're like really bored, and they're like, I bet I could I'm so cool, I bet I could outdo an assassin.
You'll just gain some bragging rights.
But then like half the time it doesn't work and they die.
So yeah, that's what Anna Curry is doing, and right now she got put on a mission to kill, let's see, who was his name? Did
I
he
don't
tell
remember his name. I don't know if you never told us, but
She got put in charge of a bounty. I mean, she got told to kill this other person, and it leads her towards Chasm City. No.
she's living in Chasm City.
She's living in Chasm City, but she goes to the place.
Oh, the monument to the 80. It's in the mulch.
Yeah, the mulch.
And the city. The city's described as this like gothic because they start talking about the plague that the captain has, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, say, the buildings that were self-replicating, all those buildings went haywire and just like turned into tree buildings pretty much. And so there's a canopy, and that's where all the rich people live. And there's just like poor people living in the mulch. There's like a bunch of huts built at the bottom of these giant buildings that are, cancer buildings basically, space cancer. And it's a pretty crazy sight. She gets on this what do they call it? What's the thing she's on? Like a gondola that swings on like a monkey.
And then catches itself.
And it's like going from branch to branch pretty much. And that's how she gets around. But she gets to the monument to the 80. And where have we heard that before?
Back in chapter 1. Go ahead and check it out. Back in chapter 1, they mentioned this monument. Who mentions it? Calvin. Calvin wanting to share his secret, saying that...
About the 80, yeah.
Exactly, so...
And they didn't even mention there was a monument. We're figuring it out now. So there's a monument to these people on this, in this city, so it's obviously pretty important.
Mm-hmm. And knowing that Calvin knows something that not everyone knows is cool. Anyway, so yeah.
She goes there,
Curry,
and that's where the guy is hiding.
Correct. So Curry ends up actually finding the man, and she's about to kill him. What happened?
He talks about his grandma or his mom or something.
Was his mom there? No.
His mom was one of the 80.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of where it explains us what the 80 were. So it's like these people who uploaded their brains or something. Yeah, I think it says something went wrong with their brains. And so that's why they're considered lost. And he wants to transition to being like having his brain copied, like his mom or his grandma, his mom, and to join her, but he can't really decide to do it because it would just be a copy of himself. And so she had him shoot. Like, what was the gun that she was carrying? She was carrying a gun that like had darts. Like, it wasn't actually a gun. It just shot him with like a syringe or something that injected him. And it was like specifically meant only for him, so it would only hurt him. And she shoots him with it, but he doesn't die, and she's pretty freaked out about this. She's like, I don't really talk to the people I'm shooting, But he's like, no, but me getting caught here just means that this is going to kill me eventually. So now I have to get my brain uploaded, and I'll die, but the brain upload will be alive, And so, pretty sad. It's not like the normal rich kid want to play a game. He's like, I'm gonna join my mom, who's one of the 80, in the monument, and like no one, like the monument's been looted. No one even respects it anymore. It's been a while. It sounds like. So after that whole business, she goes out and someone walks up to her.
Yeah, another man comes up to her and starts doesn't say who he is really. Just kind of gives her like a short spiel about
assassins and stuff.
Assassins, and pretty much leading up to him kind of hiring her or saying that someone else wants to hire her.
And she's like, I mean, I guess, but I really only work for this dude. And he's like, oh, that's great, and then points a gun at her.
So that's how that story ends. Now we're just left to wonder who exactly was behind wanting Anna Curry to go through all that, or just wanting to find her. So those are the 3 stories, main points in the story.
There's a few tiny details, like I know the captain mentions why they're going to, like, he asks why they're going to Yellowstone. And they're like, oh, you know, for someone to, you know, is a carrier of your space cancer. They call it the melting plague. And they're like, oh, are we going for Calvin Sylvest? And he's like, no, he's dead. Oh, so his son, Dan Sylvest. And so we met both of them, but we know they're not on Chasm City, or they're not in Yellowstone, so they're going to have a rude awakening when they realize he's not there.
I feel like Pascal.
Pascal.
Yeah. I feel like Pascal's going to have a big part in the story. It just seems like Dan really relies on her in a way, so... Plus, she doesn't get on my nerves. I feel like she's really cool. I want to hear more.
She hasn't said much yet.
Exactly.
But yeah, she's pretty chill, you know.
Yeah, so we'll see if she has any more, if we go into her a little more in the next chapters.
Also, this is the first mention that Volyova gives of the cache. It has an unknown origin, and there's about 40 of them, whatever they are. And she just talks about it. She's like, I know them like the back of my hand, but really I know nothing about them. So, that's something for us to figure out. So, tune in next week for Chapter 3, or maybe we'll do Chapter 4. Well, I feel like we're going to get faster with these chapters as we have to, like, define less and not split up the story. Spoiler alert, their stories might have something to do with one another. I mean, that's not really a spoiler. It's a book. You know how books work. Right?
Yeah. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Please subscribe. We'll post really good content.
No promises.
And face reveal coming soon.
I don't know. Don't hold me to it.
10 subscribers.
10 subscribers. We'll do a face reveal.
Yes, we hit 10.
I think they deserve it. The adoring fans.
Yep, so...
Known worldwide by a whole 10 people.
And if you guys go to our Twitch, linked in the bio, you guys can actually watch us in real time, reading/listening if you want. It's ASMR. Just flipping through pages.
ASMR reading. Just kidding, please don't try and watch me.
Put cameras. They're like the night vision cameras in your room.
Ew. How would I be reading? Oh my god.
You're listening.
That'd be, oh yeah.
So,
yeah, I'm listening.
you're like twirling your feet.
But like, but imagine you walk into a room, someone's just reading in the dark.
Yeah.
That'd be weird.
Ew.
You walk in, what you up to? You turn the light on, they're reading. What? They got that reptile trait. They can see in the dark. What I'm trying to say is I'm coming out as a reptile.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Right in your faces. We were here all along.